People are charging $1,000 a month to rent rooms in their home.
Who the hell is paying $4,000 a month to live in Nashville, Tennessee?
How are we surviving? No, seriously, like, how are we surviving?
And food prices will be skyrocketing.
I am not going to be gaslit by y'all because I know for a fact $50K was a comfortable salary before COVID, and I have proof of this. Before we get started, let me just show y'all what the numbers look like. I didn't have a 401k and I paid for health insurance outside of my job because it was trash. This is what my amount was each check. I got paid twice a month, $1651.19. Back in 2019, that is when I had got my first big boy job and I was making $50,000, or I think it was around like $55,000. But my rent for a one-bedroom apartment was $945. Now, I'm not making this up. Y'all look, y'all see, that is the same apartment complex. I want y'all to guess what the rent is. Just guess. Now, I just want to point out to y'all, this was for a lease that was only 8 months. And if you know, you know, the shorter the lease term, the more expensive it is. I was paying $945 for an 8-month lease. Today, they no longer offer an 8-month option, but even dropping it down to 11, you're still looking at $1,741 for that same one-bedroom apartment. Now, when you look at my expenses, rent, car, and mind you, I had a nice car. This was my car. I bought a 2-year-old BMW 3 Series. Look at all of my expenses back in 2019. My total monthly expenses was $2,635, and after all the bills were paid, I still had $667 left over that I could blow on anything. I could take that and buy a flight. I could go hang out with friends. I can use that $667 on whatever it is that I want. Mind you, that's after I've already deducted $500 for savings. Before anyone make a comment about the light bill being so low, even today, if you look, this was my current billing period. My light bill is only $85. I have never had a high light bill. I don't know what y'all are doing to get high light bills. I never have a high light bill. Fast forward to today, if you take that same salary, that same apartment complex, you take today's average car payment, all the other bills and expenses, you're negative. You're literally negative. This is off of the same salary, $50,000. When I made that last video talking about $50K being a mama I made it salary, I was being sarcastic. I didn't mean that quite literally, but the whole point of the video was to show and explain that you could live comfortably, have a nice vehicle, and still have money left over and not be worried or paycheck to paycheck. What sucks the most about being Gen Z is the fact that we literally grew up and witnessed the financial shift happen in real time. I remember when 50K used to be that mama I made it salary. People that made 50K used to be able to have luxury vehicles. They used to be able to have vacation homes, take all of these trips out the country. Like, I saw and witnessed that in real time. And the moment we step into adulthood, 50K becomes the new $15 an hour. And it's even crazier thinking about how people that make $50,000 a year are needing roommates. People that make 50K need roommates. That is insane. Like, seeing a job paying 50K used to be exciting. It used to be like, oh my gosh, $50,000. Now it's like every damn job is handing out 50K because it don't mean shit anymore. It means absolutely nothing. And I'm not trying to just sit up here and complain, but it just sucks because we make far much more money than our parents and our grandparents did in their days, yet it doesn't feel like it. And thankfully, I'm in a position to where I do make a decent amount of money, but I really feel for those who are not in the position that I'm in, and it just sucks.
A 2-bedroom apartment for $3,000 a month in the city? How does anyone afford this? I pay $1,400 for a 2-bedroom apartment here, and that's pretty normal. Between my car payment and insurance, I pay about $900 a month. I don't need a car. I live in a beautiful, walkable city, and I pay about $60 to $120 a month for public transportation. I pay close to $1,200 a month on groceries, trying my best to eat healthy. I spend about $350 a month of shopping from local, fresh, whole foods, and my stomach feels so much better. I pay $6,000 a year on health insurance, and that doesn't even cover out-of-pocket costs. I have universal health care, and I pay about 80 euros a month for a private doctor. My utilities and internet cost $400 a month. I pay about $120 a month total for utilities and internet. I really need to leave the US. My cost of living is so high, I can't even enjoy my life anymore. I'm so glad I left the US and moved to Spain.
I mean, I've had concerns since I moved here.
Yeah.
I think cost of living here is out of control.
I'm seeing a lot of my nieces and nephews leave. Any of your friends talking about leaving?
Leaving or just struggling.
Yeah.
Like I told my wife, even it's like you live here and have a lower quality of life than living somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree because that's partly why I'm running. I don't want my kids to leave. I love it here. It's our home, but like we've ate taxes, our energy bills are out of control.
It's certainly not sustainable from like you're talking about with your children and my children, etc. Like wages go up a certain percentage and then cost of living goes up something exponentially beyond that. You can only make it work for so long.
Hey, LA, how are we surviving? No, seriously, like, how are we surviving? I just left a night shift in the ER, and on my way home, I was like, okay, maybe I'll stop for gas. I can't afford this. $5? Do you know how much I make? Like, I have to go to the emergency department, literally saving people's lives, and I make this much. You know, there's a lot of other Americans that are not as fortunate to be working as resident physicians with much lower salaries. So that is something that I do want to point out, that also have to make ends meet. But back to me, for example, I make around $2,600 every 2 weeks. Let's not forget my cost of living with a roommate is $2,200. My car cost me around $250 a month. My car insurance cost me around $170. My student loans, I have to pay over $500 a month. And right now, gas is $5 a gallon. My car takes 14 gallons. I can't afford this. I can't afford working as a resident around, let's say 6 shifts a week. I don't know. Is the president or the government considering giving stimulus checks for us? Because how are we, thousands of other Americans, able to afford this shit? Like, we didn't ask you to go to war. Okay? Freaking fix it. Fix it. I can't show up for patients and then not be able to afford these basic essentials. It's not even a lifestyle thing, guys. I literally, if I'm not eating the feces given at the hospital, I'm making my own food. So anyways, just got off a shift. I clearly need to go freaking sleep. And I don't know, should I just start walking to work?
People are charging $1,000 a month to rent rooms in their home. $1,000 a month to rent a room. Bro, what the fuck we gonna do? The cost of living has gotten out of hand. And y'all, buy a house, man. Everybody that I know that owns a house tells me don't buy no fucking house. They hate that shit. Between property taxes going the fuck up, insurance going the fuck up, niggas having to fix roofs. Is that what it is? Having to fix their roof and shit. Everybody I know that got a goddamn house tell me don't buy no goddamn house. They say at least you call a maintenance man. But dead ass, what the fuck we gonna do about the rising cost of living? Because what you mean you charging people $1,000? You got 3 rooms in your house, you're charging them $1,000 for somebody to come live there. This shit is sad. Like, my son gonna be an adult in the next couple of years. He's gonna graduate from high school and be an adult. And this is the world he has to live in? The fuck? I guess I need... shit is weird.
If you're wondering why I'm pushing out TikTok videos like a crack rock in the 80s, this is what it costs to live in Southern California. So I'm going to break down the cost of being a single woman in Southern California. Rent, $2,000. Internet, $120. Gas bill, $50 to $80. Apple, because I have to pay Apple every month, $10 a month. Car payment, $600. Phone, $205. That's because I pay for my daughter and I's phone payment. Netflix, $8. I pay for the one with commercials. Okay, give me a break. I want my Netflix. Insurance, $315. That's including rental insurance. That's car insurance, by the way. Credit card payment, $75. Food on the low end with just dinners and eggs for breakfast it runs me around $600. When my daughter is here, about $1,000. Gas, if I'm not driving Uber, $200 a month. And if I want to do $500 in my savings, which I haven't been able to do for a while, that total comes up to $4,726. Now, that's almost $5,000. That's for one person. And that's not including if I want to go out to eat or like do anything luxurious, right? So that would mean I would need to make $236 every day over 5 days, which means I need to make $1,200 a week. So I just want to let y'all know when y'all see these shop videos, you know, I'm not begging, you know, but this is what it costs to live in Southern California as a single woman. And that's actually probably on the cheap end because I live in Long Beach, and Long Beach is like the last affordable beach city in Southern California. So, you know, people are like, that's cheap, but it's still a lot for one person to do on their own. And if you wonder why I'm like, oh, you know, I don't mess with dudes that ain't gonna give me no money, this is why. Y'all think I got time for love? All right, thanks for letting me share.
The CPI inflation report was released this morning, and I want you to keep in mind that this report covers February, so it's not going to reflect the higher energy prices that we're seeing today in March. Okay, for the month of February, CPI inflation rose at a pace of 2.4%, and this was in line with market expectations. Core inflation was at 2.5%. Now, I want to show you the trend, but before we proceed to that, I want to give you this quick disclaimer, and I'm just speaking honestly here. So I just want to say that I don't have much faith in the reliability or accuracy of these numbers. However, it's still important to know what the narrative is, because that's what the federal government and the Federal Reserve are going to base their decisions on, the story, the narrative. So I'm just saying that the CPI inflation report should be treated as fictional literature. That's just my opinion. No different than a sci-fi short story or a romance novel. Okay, with that being said, yes, we have made a lot of progress since the rate of inflation peaked back in 2022. And I'll be the first to admit that the rate of inflation has come down substantially. I mean, it's noticeable. So yes, we have made progress because interest rates are no longer 0%, and the Federal Reserve has slowed down the rates of money printing. And here we are today at an inflation rate of 2.4%. But I just want to say, like, please make note of this, that this does not mean that prices have been coming down. No. It means that prices are still going up. They're just going up at a slower rate than compared to before. Another thing that I want you to keep in mind is that although overall inflation increased at a rate of 2.4%, that's just the overall average based on their calculations. So the goal of the Federal Reserve is to get the rate of inflation down to 2.0%. So 2%, that's the target rate. However, 7 out of the 10 components in the CPI were rising faster than 2%. And you're going to have your individual categories that are going up way faster. For example, daycare is up 3.7%. That's the rate of inflation. Furniture is up 3.9%. Food outside the home is up 3.9%. Medical care is up by 4.1%. Admissions to movies, so movie tickets, up by 5.5%. Airfare has been going up by 7.1%. Candy is up by 11.6%. Beef is up 14.4%. And home health care is up by 15%. And I just want to mention that additionally, the overall CPI number is artificially being suppressed right now because of the effects of the prior government shutdown, which portrays housing inflation lower than it really is. And on top of that, we all know what's going to happen to the inflation numbers, like the CPI inflation report for March. That's going to be due next month because of the higher energy prices. All right, so that's the situation. On a side note, I just want to say that the average price of gasoline in the U.S. is currently at $3.58 a gallon. But I'm not in California. I'm curious to know what it is over there. I mean, of course, California is known, or they're notorious for having the highest gasoline prices. So please let me know. Thank you for the support. Please subscribe. And I wish you a very nice day. Take care.
After 2 years in Thailand, coming back here was definitely a financial culture shock. First one was seeing these carts was $7. They're free in Thailand. I really forgot how expensive it is just to exist here. Soon as you walk outside, you spending $50. Every time I was going to the corner store, chat, I'm spending $15 or more. And then another thing I don't understand is like, we pay for fucking chemicals and overly sized fucking food. So most times when I go to the store, I just stand there. Not because I don't know what to buy, but just because of the prices. Just for the simple thing. And then it's not even just groceries. It's gas, rent, car insurance, life insurance, light bill, water parking, tickets. Every direction you turn is just something. And me sharing this type of stuff doesn't mean I'm sad, I hate America, or I ain't got no money or no shit like that. This is just my honest experience from the culture shock. And adjusting back to this American lifestyle. Culture shock really works both ways. When you live somewhere for 2 years and live life differently, your baseline changes. The shift is real. Here you need a strategy just to feel comfortable. And it's not just expensive financially. It can feel expensive mentally as well. Confession number 2.
So I really think we're entering the era of the end of fast food, because with the prices nowadays, who's going to continue to justify being able to eat food that you already know is not good for you and also pay a lot for it?
We need to talk about how much a 6-inch Subway sandwich costs, because apparently I've been living under a rock. This weekend, we went to the mall in Illinois to go to the Nike clearance store because it's the cheapest place to get shoes for our kids. Please, don't take that from me. I need it. We're going to make a special thing. We're going to have lunch at the food court. I have 3 very young kids. I pay for 3 kids in daycare. We don't go out to eat. All right, let me just get a turkey sub. My fave, I'll go to Subway. Subway ruined themselves with the $5 footlong because now that's what everyone expects. But I'm like, okay, it used to be $5 for 12 inches. So surely it's going to be $5 for 6 inches, right? Inflation can't be that bad. That's 6-inch sub. I just got a sub. No drink, no chips, nothing. A turkey sub. Turkey, cheese, lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, onions, mayo. $10. $10. 10. I'm choking up just thinking about it now. See ya never, Subway. See ya never. I'm never coming back. 1, because it's not even that good. 2, $10? You're out of your mind.
Things are becoming so irrationally expensive that even I'm starting to question the prices. And I say that as someone who lives under the guise of, well, I gotta get it anyway, right? So if it's gas or food, I really don't question it because it's a necessity for me to live. What am I gonna say? I'm not gonna eat food. And I just got food from Popeyes, and that's not necessarily a necessity. 3 chicken tenders, a side, and a drink is $18. 18?
Can someone explain to me what the fuck happened to Five Guys? I went there the other day for 2 people. Hamburger, fries, drink. It was like $60. I'm not paying $30 per person unless you're bringing that food to my table and refilling that drink. And honestly, at that price, I should be able to get a single of whiskey in there, and y'all don't even have a liquor license. Food prices are out of control, but Five Guys they're on extra cocaine.
You know something I think should be illegal? I just went to Taco Bell. I got a soft taco. And when they gave me my total, they said, would you like to round up by 50 cents for the Taco Bell scholarship fund? No, I don't. I mean, in my heart, sure, but that doesn't make any sense. Because Taco Bell last year reported $1 billion in profits. If I had $1 billion and I spent $100,000 a year, it would take me 10,000 years to spend $1 billion. 10,000 years. Why do you need my 50 cents that you're then gonna say was a charitable contribution and use it as a tax write-off? And all of your workers make minimum wage. Something's not right.
What happened to Panera Bread? $71.62 for 3 sandwiches, 2 of them that were grilled cheese and 2 soups. $71.62. Are you kidding me? Like, I know, guys, the Chipotle video, the McDonald's video, all these other videos of these places going crazy, but like Panera Bread was something where you could go and get like a half a sandwich, a little cup of soup, and a drink for like under 20 bucks. Is this how completely out of touch these companies have gotten when it comes to pricing this stuff?
Have these fast food restaurants lost their damn minds? We're out running errands, door dashing, doing some things today. We pull into Burger King and I get a Junior Whopper. My husband gets a Whopper. Why is just a Whopper, not the meal, just a Whopper, $9? I can go to a damn restaurant, get a better quality hamburger with French fries for probably $9.99. Why the hell is anybody eating at fast food restaurants right now? I mean, we don't eat out at fast food restaurants very often, so I had no idea that a Whopper was $9 by itself. By itself! Never again. We will not be coming back to Burger King. $9 for a flippin' Whopper. That's just insane.
Chipotle is saying, if you're broke, then Chipotle is not the place for you. I mean, that's what he's saying in so many words. Basically, he's saying that their core customer base, 60% of their core customer base are people who make over $100,000 a year. Yeah. So basically, they're saying that the majority of their customers, 60%, make over $100,000 a year. Therefore, they won't mind the 1% to 2% price increase because they can basically afford it. And those are the people they are targeting for as their core audience regarding their new price increase. So basically, if you're broke, Chipotle is not the spot for you. Do not go to Chipotle. Their core customers are at $100,000 a year. They are confident that they can lean into that group a more meaningful way.
This is the craziest shit ever. So I'm here at Chipotle and I just want to show you guys what I ordered. This is literally all that I ordered. Just this. And this shit cost me $20. 19, but that's basically 20. $19 for one person. That's literally an hour of work for a lot of people in this world. This is crazy, and I'm only here because I'm starving, but it's some bullshit.
I just paid $19 for this sad little sack of Taco Bell. Who remembers the glory days when you could roll through with your car full of all of your friends, get the entire menu practically for like $7?
I got Starbucks last week for the first time in a while and was absolutely floored by how much money it was, to the point where I think I finally reached my threshold of Starbucks actually being worth the money anymore. And over the past 5 years or so, there have been quite a few things that have reached that threshold for me and my husband, where we're trying to save money to do things that actually matter to us. So we've been really cutting back on the things that don't matter. And I've created certain rules for myself when it comes to spending money on things that I don't necessarily need. So for one thing now, I am literally just getting McDonald's iced coffee for $1, or I'm going to support a local business if I want coffee. I'm not spending $6 on a medium iced coffee anymore at Starbucks. A long time ago, Panera reached this threshold for me. It is just so expensive to eat there, and I feel like they give you less and less food every single time. I cannot remember the last time I went into a Panera. They are highway robbery. A couple summers ago, my husband and I went to a restaurant, like a pretty standard restaurant, I'll say mediocre. And it was literally $60 for us to get lunch, no alcohol. So we drew a line in the sand that we were only doing fast casual, Jersey Mike's or Five Guys, or we were going to a nice restaurant. We're not doing any of the in-between restaurants anymore because it's just not worth it to us at the end of the day. And alcohol, this is a huge one for us. We're both not big drinkers in general. And I will say, when I lived in South Carolina for college, it was so much easier for me to justify getting a drink because it was $4.25 for a mixed vodka drink. Here, it's $15 for a cocktail on the cocktail menu. It's just not worth it to us at all. I think my husband got a canned cider one of the last times we went out. It was legitimately $11. I was like, come on, I can't deal with this anymore.
Since when did fast food cost just as much as a sit-down restaurant? We were at Chick-fil-A and it cost $60 for 4 of us to eat. $60. That is a sit-down restaurant with a drink for the both of us and a kid's meal.
2 kids meal.
2 kids meals. And we're spending that on fat.
And food prices will be skyrocketing. Number one, we get 33% or 1/3 of the fertilizer that farmers use to grow our food in the United States of America. Every single thing that is brought to a store goes on a truck. Gas prices are skyrocketing. Even if the Iran war ended today, food prices are going to be going up immediately. They say this is a global effect on the global economy. Once prices go up for food, toiletries, household items, shoes, clothes, they never go down. Yes, this also screws over farmers because their fertilizer will be a higher cost if they can even get it. They're also paying more for gas. Farmers continue to struggle who voted for Trump. In fact, it's worldwide farmers who are struggling.
60% of the American public is about to lose everything they have. People living paycheck to paycheck are about to go broke. The GDP numbers came in yesterday, and of course the economy receded, which I predicted 2 months ago, and people laughed. Mark my words, the second quarter is going to be far worse. Tariffs on Chinese products at 145% are about to kick in, which means everything you buy from China on Amazon or elsewhere is about to go through the roof. Grocery store shelves are starting to empty at Walmarts across the country, and of course grocery prices continue to soar. People who've been financing groceries on credit are starting to default on those payments. We are about to see an economic catastrophe. If you're in this 60% that has little or no money, please stop spending money. Protect your family. Trump does not care about you. Even if you voted for him, he's a billionaire. He won't suffer, but you and your family will. Please protect yourself. 60% of the American.
This is not an exaggeration. Every $500 that I make, I spend $2,000. Like every large sum of money that I make, I spend double that, if not even more. And it's not because I want to be. It's because everything just is like, it's just bill, 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 bill. Everything's more expensive, but the quality of everything's going, fucking taking a bet. When will this end?
According to the Congressional Budget Office, the United States has been borrowing about $50 billion every single week for the past 5 months. Let that sink in. $50 billion per week. In just the first 5 months of fiscal year 2026, the federal deficit has already grown by another $1 trillion. $1 trillion in 5 months. And now the total national debt is approaching $39 trillion. And here's what should really piss you off. Just paying the interest on the debt costs taxpayers $433 billion in the same 5 months. Not the debt itself, just the interest. Experts say interest payments could hit $1 trillion a year soon, and $2 trillion annually within a decade. That is not sustainable, because the more money the government borrows, the more taxpayers have to pay just to service the debt, meaning future budgets could be dominated by one thing: paying interest on money we already spent.
Look, I just paid $51.50 for 10.4 gallons of gas right here in California. That comes out to about $4.94 a gallon. And every time people see a number like that, the same argument starts. It's the president. No, it's the oil companies. No, it's taxes. So let's slow this down and look at how gas prices are actually calculated here in America. First, we have what we call crude oil. That is the actual raw oil pulled out of the ground. It usually makes up about 50 to 60% of the price that you're going to pay at the pump. Second, you have refining. That crude oil that you're going to pay for at the pump has to be turned into what? Gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. That process adds another 15 to 20%, right? Third, then you have distribution and transportations. That's where your pipelines and trucks and storage tanks. And if when you add delivery stations, that adds about 10%. Fourth, you have the taxes, right? That comes very last. In the United States, there's a federal gas tax, and every state adds its own. Now, people wonder why our gas is always $1 or $2 more, right? In California specifically, the combination of state taxes, environmental fees, and sales tax can exceed $1 per gallon by themselves. And here's the part that people don't really realize. The gas station itself usually makes only a few cents per gallon. So when you pay $50 and you fill your tank, the station owner only may get around 50 cents from that transaction. Most of their real profit comes from the food mart, the snacks, the drinks, and the convenience items inside. So the price that you see on the sign is really a stack of things. It's global oil markets, refining costs, transportation, state and federal taxes, and a tiny margin for the station, right? Those are the economics. You can argue about policy, you can argue about politics and who's responsible, but the math itself is pretty straightforward. Believe what you want to believe. I'm just here to present the facts.
So the government told Americans there was no money for food, but they were out here buying steak and lobster tails with your tax dollars. So back in September 2025, just in 1 month alone, the Department of Defense blew through $93 billion with a B dollars. And not just on tanks and planes. They spent $2 million on Alaskan king crab, $6.9 million on lobster tail, and $15 million on ribeye steaks. Then they dropped another $5.3 million on Apple devices, $100,000 for a piano, $124,000 for ice cream machines, and $139,000 for donuts. Oh, and $225 million for furniture, Herman Miller recliners, fruit basket stands, the whole luxury catalog. Meanwhile, millions of Americans were told SNAP benefits were going to be cut because we didn't have the money. See, the federal budget is like a family credit card. But instead of paying the grocery bill, the people in charge are ordering surf and turf and designer furniture, and then turning around telling you there ain't no money for dinner. If they spent $93 billion in 1 month, what could they have done about health care, housing, or even food for families? Because see, it looks like America doesn't have a money problem. It looks like it has a priority problem. Who the hell is paying $4,000 a month to live in Nashville, Tennessee? See, Nashville, Tennessee has a whole rental crisis going on. But it's not because there aren't enough apartments. Oh no, it's because they built too many luxury apartment buildings that people cannot afford. Over 10% of rentals are sitting empty. And now landlords are like, oh my God, what do we do? Well, let me tell you why, since rich people can't seem to figure it out. A studio, on average, starting at $1,600. A 1-bedroom, $2,000. 2-bedroom, $2,900. 3 bedrooms, $3,900. In Nashville. Who's running around with $4,000 to just drop on rent every month? See, capitalism will sell you a scam, but act confused when you don't buy into it. Nashville doesn't even have the jobs to justify charging New York City rent. In New York, a 1-bedroom on average is just above $4,000. But Nashville thought, yeah, we can do that too. No, you can't. And this is the kicker. None of these units are actually luxury. Real luxury? We don't even get access to it. What they call luxury is just a dishwasher, a pool,